Kamaru Usman is going to violently knock out Leon Edwards in their trilogy fight, and I'm going to tell you exactly how that's going to happen by giving you the best goddamn breakdown you've ever seen. Here we go. All right, so Leon Edwards, he is 31 years old. He's 6'2", and he has a 74-inch reach. He has 20 wins, 7 KOs. We have all seen the most notorious KO of his career, and one of the best KOs in UFC history.
That is a degenerate.
And he also has 3 submissions, more on his sneaky grappling in just a second. He has lost 3 times, 1 disqualification. I have no idea where that came from. I should have done a little more research on that. And he has 2 decision losses, one of them being Kamaru Usman. We're going to be talking a lot about these 2 guys a bunch because this is a trilogy fight. He's also never been finished, kind of surprising, and a little teaser into my prediction. I think that changes. A lot of questions in the air, and he hasn't lost since 2015. To who? Guess what? Kamaru Usman. Shocker. He's also a plus 270 underdog, even though he took Kamaru Usman's soul in their last fight. And there's a reason why he is a huge underdog, but we're not going to talk about that right now. When it comes to Leon Edwards striking, there's a reason why it's considered one of the best in the game. Stay tuned to find out why. So when we're talking about Leon Edwards striking, he's extremely well-rounded on the feet. He's got great hands. He has slicing elbows. He changed Nate Diaz's face for the 50th time in his UFC career by nasty elbows. Literally saw his brain. It was pretty graphic. Fantastic. We love to see his brains. I don't know. So he keeps spitting everywhere. He switches stances, so he gives his opponent a bunch of different looks from different angles. I don't know. I'm kind of talking out of my ass right now when it comes to striking. Just started taking Muay Thai lessons. So shout out Brad, my Muay Thai coach, the GOATed. The GOAT. I don't know. Goated in Muay Thai, I guess. And what if I told you that Leon Edwards' wrestling game is secretly one of their biggest weapons? Keep watching to find out more. I feel like these hooks are terrible. Anyways, Leon Edwards, he has very underrated grappling. We saw that in the rematch between Usman Edwards. Edwards was the first person to take down Usman in Usman's MMA career. And even Nate Diaz. Nate Diaz has some amazing jiu-jitsu, even though he's half stoned all the time, or fully stoned, I should say. He has sick jiu-jitsu, and Leon Edwards was tripping Nate Diaz and controlling him on the ground. I know it's Nate Diaz right now. He's not the best fighter, but still it means something. And he also has some pretty nasty ground and pound. He devastated Nate Diaz on the ground with his ground and pound. That's where he landed some of those slicing elbows that I previously mentioned, and definitely something to look out for in this fight when it comes to Leon Edwards. It's a sneaky little skill from Leon Edwards. It's rare to see a fighter bounce back from a knockout loss, let alone being on the wrong side of the knockout of the year. But Kamaru Usman is different, and there is a reason why he is still a massive favorite in their next fight. Let's talk about it. Now we're talking about Kamaru Usman. He is 35 years old. He's literally in the peak prime of his life. It's about to go downhill from here. He's 6 foot and he has a 76-inch reach. He has 20 wins, 9 KOs, and 1 submission. And he has 2 losses, one of them being KO, the last fight against Leon Edwards, and then 1 submission, and that was before the UFC. So in this fight, he is a minus 330 favorite, as he should be. Besides the first round in the last fight between Edwards and Usman, he dominated the whole fight before he smelled Leon's toes. Like that's what happened. And Kamaru Usman's wrestling is so dominant that people forget that he has some serious striking too. And I have a gut feeling that he's going to remind everyone why he's also a force to be reckoned with on the feet. Here's why. When we're talking about Kamaru Usman striking, he doesn't have the best striking. We saw that a lot in the Jorge Masvidal fight. He was looping punches. He kind of gets a little excited like when we have a girl over our house for the first time. But what he does have with his striking, he throws with power, confidence, and pressure. And the reason why that all meshes so well is because there's always the threat of his takedown, which opens up his striking. A perfect example of that is why Khabib landed that huge overhand right on Conor McGregor. Was that the threat of the takedown obviously had a part in that, but I'm not going to talk too much about that because I'm just going to get shit on by Khabib fans saying, fuck, who knows what. Now let's talk about the reason why Kamaru Usman is regarded as one of the best UFC fighters of all time, and definitely one of the best welterweights of all time, behind George St. Pierre, duh. So with his wrestling, he is one of the best wrestlers in the game right now and ever in the UFC's history. For Usman, especially in their last fight, what I noticed, he took him down a lot when Edwards was pressed up against the cage. I'm not going to go breaking down his wrestling techniques because I will be talking out of my ass once again when it comes to wrestling. I'm a jiu-jitsu guy. Even then, I'm a one-stripe white belt. No idea what I'm talking about. I don't even know why you guys are here, but we're hanging out anyways. So yeah, that's his wrestling, I guess. I don't know. Now, what if I told you there are 3 major overlooked factors that could completely alter the outcome of this trilogy fight, despite the memorable knockout in their last fight? Let's begin. So for reason number 1 is that there is potentially a chance that Usman will never be the same after this knockout. So what I'm thinking of is Ronda Rousey. Ronda Rousey, she got shit pumped by Holly Holm. She got depressed and she was traumatized, had to go on Ellen and was talking about this stuff. It was actually really sad, but because she was so dominant, she smashed everyone very quickly, and that's what led to her being so shell-shocked when she got knocked out against Amanda Nunes, went to WWE, and no one cared about her ever since. I definitely don't care about her. I don't think this will happen to Kamaru Usman. I feel like Kamaru Usman is more mentally strong than Ronda Rousey after that, the way this played out, just because of his actions after the knockout. Like right after, he was on Joe Rogan Experience, the biggest podcast in the world, was laughing about it, laughing about the memes that were made of him dead on the ground after getting knocked out. And he also, there's Anatomy of a Fighter, I think, what's his name, Walt Harris, he was making a documentary for Kamaru Usman, and when he walked back into his house, Kamaru Usman, he noticed he wasn't filming. Everyone had their heads down, his family, friends, and he's like, guys, chill, like it's not that big of a deal, whatever, film, Walt, film, why aren't you filming? And he was encouraging that, and that says a lot about that. Ronda Rousey would not fucking do that, I'll tell you that right now. Kind of hated on Ronda Rousey, but she bashed Canadians, so that's why I don't really like her anymore. Never really liked her anyways. And I also think that Kamaru Usman is going to come back stronger. That's my opinion. I think he said it himself. He felt so relieved after getting knocked out, being the pound for pound king, being so dominant for so long. He just felt a lot of weight lifted off of his chest, and I think that's going to be a huge factor as to why he's going to come back even stronger. More on that in just a second, boys. But there's one thing that might prevent him from doing so, and that he just can't control anymore, which leads us to reason number 2. His body is falling apart. He's been competing at a high level since he was in high school. I think a junior in high school for wrestling. He has a crazy work ethic. He's one of the hardest workers, but his knees are trashed. This guy has to walk downstairs backwards. I don't even understand it, but I'm just guessing it relieves pressure on the front of his knees. I don't know, but that's the only thing I can think of. It's obviously because of his knees. And this guy is in dear need of 2 knee replacement surgeries. He literally can't run. I don't even know how he trains. I think he trains on the Aerodyne bike. If that, I don't even know if he does that. But I know when it comes to fight night, he just ignores it. And that just shows his mental toughness. This guy's like David Goggins 4.0. And he also just had hand surgery prior to the Leon Edwards fight. His hand was all messed up, so that's why the fight was a little delayed. I'm sure he's had a numerous amount of other injuries as well as every other UFC fighter, but this, just take that into consideration. Now, reason number 3 had the biggest impact on this fight and every other fight on the entire card as well. It was the altitude. The fight was at Salt Lake City. Salt Lake City, I wrote down, had an altitude of 4,327 feet above sea level. This had 0 impact on Kamaru Usman because Kamaru Usman trains at Denver. Denver has an altitude of 5,279 feet above sea level. According to my calculations, that's close to 1,000 feet higher than Salt Lake City. What does that mean? I have no idea. I'm not an altitude expert, but it's 1,000 feet higher than what he was fighting at. So obviously it's not going to have a huge impact on him, and he's going to be fresh. That's I don't know. I'm fucking talking on my ass for the 3rd time this video. But then again, when you're looking at Leon Edwards, though, he gassed out completely. It looked like his controller died after round 1, and you saw that. He was just drained. His battery was drained, and Leon was easily able to get held against the cage and taken down throughout the fight. And that raises 2 massive questions into the trilogy fight. Does that happen if he's not tired? And how does Edwards do in that fight if it is not at elevation? Now, for these 2 questions, I can't answer these. We'll get the answers on fight night, but what I can do, my value proposition, I can give you my prediction on this fight. I don't even know what my prediction is. Probably should have prepared more. All right, so there's a lot of questions in the air. Basically, if you're banking on Leon Edwards, you're banking on this guy. He's going to have better cardio. He does have good cardio. Watching the Nate Diaz fight, he was fresh as a daisy throughout that fight until he got cracked in the 5th round. But Nate Diaz was landing that like slap cross that Kamaru Usman landed on Jorge Masvidal several times in that Leon Edwards fight. So that's what I mentioned about Usman's underrated striking with his power. I don't know why, but I just see, it wouldn't make sense for Usman to stand on the feet with Edwards in this fight because he got knocked out. Obviously, you want to go to the path of least resistance and win that way. But I just see Edwards stuffing the takedowns a little more. I don't think he's going to do all that much, to be honest. I think Kamaru Usman is going to win this fight. I think he's going to take him down. I think it's going to be more of a challenge this time because Edwards won't be as gassed. And I think Kamaru Usman is definitely going to win this fight. I'm just banking on his mental toughness. I don't think he's going to just all of a sudden crash like Tony Ferguson, Ronda Rousey after getting knocked out, Dominic Reyes, so many examples. I think he's going to come back even stronger. I think his mental toughness shows the fact that he's able to train on these crazy messed up knees like David Goggins, how he runs these 100-mile marathons. It reminds me of the same guy. These guys are just different. And I think Kamaru Usman's going to come back even stronger. He's still 35. He's not 40. I also wouldn't be surprised if he retires after this fight. He has nothing else to prove. And Kamaru Usman via... Should I say via knockout? Nah, I shouldn't say via knockout. I'm going to say Kamaru Usman via decision. I think it's going to be another boring fight. But don't be surprised if he knocks him out with that combo. Come back here when he does. All right? And if you want to relive some of the funniest memes that came from Kamaru Usman getting knocked out in their last fight, click this video right here and check it out for yourself.